Hello everybody and welcome to another video. I hope you are all doing well. Today we're going to be looking at a band called The Lifted Veil, a band I'd never heard of before, and they actually approached me and asked me if I would like to look at their most recent release, which is a lyric video for a track called Sanctums of Disease. Now, as is my usual thing, I tried to do a bit of research on the band. I didn't really find very much, but what I do know is The Lifted Veil are a blackened death metal band from Mikkeli, Finland, formed in 2014. In 2016, they released what I believe to be their debut EP. It was a 7-track EP called The Wicked Shall Inherit the Earth. And in April of this year, they released a 3-track EP called Grand Design of the Apocalypse, and that's what this track we're going to have a look at comes from. Like I said, the track's called Sanctums of Disease. It is a lyric video, but I do also have the lyrics up here. Fun little note, I don't know whether this is actually where they got the name from. When I was doing a research for the band, you know, with the band being called The Lifted Veil, the only thing, or the main thing that kept coming up was a novel or a novella called The Lifted Veil by George Eliot, which was first published in 1859 and is a significant part of the Victorian era horror fiction, which include things like Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Bram Stoker's Dracula. So I don't know if that's where they got the name of the band from, but that came up every time I tried to find anything about the band. So just another little fun nugget of information for you. The more you know. Anyway. So yeah. It says it's black and death metal. I've not actually had a listen to any of their music. I've not even previewed the track I'm going to look at, so I don't know what they're going to sound like. Black and death can sometimes lean more onto the black metal side than the death metal side, and you know, the variations in black and death metal can be quite drastic. So we'll find out. But yeah, so Sanctums of Disease by The Lifted Veil. Let's have a look, see what we get. that was not what I expected. That was heavy as. I mean, that was absolutely brutal, that was. Now, they were described as blackened death metal, and I don't actually pick up any real sort of black metal influence in that music at all. But that might just be me. I might be, missing something. But that was just heavy, that was brutal, that sort of reminded me of old Deicide in certain aspects. It reminded me a little bit of the Berserker. There was all sorts going on in there. I mean, the drums in the background in there were so fast and heavy. It was unbelievable. I mean, their drummer must have like 13 legs or something like that, because that just sounded so impressive. Now, lyrically, it almost seems to be talking about the disease of the human race. It seems to be. Like how we keep we keep procreating, and, more and more humans are brought into the earth, yet the earth is unable to sustain that amount of people. We do it blindly without taking into consideration what what effect it's going to have. So, I could be wrong, but that's where it seems to be going. Now, as it was a lyric video, you probably saw all the lyrics, but we're going to go through them anyway, just because that's what I do. It says, the hallways of undying herds behind infesting stone walls, licking their rotting lips with diseased tongues, narrow inflamed teeth in twitching mouths. I mean, that's just gross on the face of it when it first starts out. That's just grim. Ghouls giving birth to more undying wretches in loving coitus acts of disgusting nature. Newborns embrace darkness right in birth, a new life that never made a choice to be born. So, ghouls giving birth to more undying wretches in loving coitus acts of disgusting nature. I mean, that's just basically saying, people getting born out of, getting it on. It says newborns embrace darkness right in birth, a new life that never made a choice to be born. So it's like, at the moment, it's essentially saying like these newborn children are being brought into a pretty bleak world at the moment, with all the suffering, disease, war, and this. They didn't ask to be born into a world like that. Carries on. Into an accursed world of rot where life dominates death. Squealing weak voices of the fucking undead inseminating the mother of horrors, gnawing her face with infected teeth, screams of excitement echo in the walls. Breach the creative borders of distaste with twisted sodomy of degenerates. This couple of lines kind of made me gross out a bit. Well, not gross out, but it's a bit. Ugh. It says, feel the womb filling with something indescribable, harrowing, bone-crushing sounds of penetration. Lust is present even in excruciating pain. Now, the first line, feel the womb filling with something indescribable, could easily just be talking about the gestation of a fetus, because for like the first several months it is just a sort of indescribable mass, and then lust is present even in excruciating pain. So some people get enjoyment from pain, but, things like giving birth is an incredibly painful process, but it is the result of essentially an act of lust or that sort of thing. And it carries on, only 6 months is all you need to evolve into a living being. The premise of this life is to carry this curse. So only 6 months is all you need to evolve into a living being. So that's how long it takes from like the conception of a, the microscopic egg and sperm to become a verifiable living being. Of course, there's another 3 months to go after that, but 6 months is what it takes to get to that stage. The premise of this life is to carry this curse. So essentially, from the moment you're born, you're cursed to this existence, and that's all you've got to carry for the rest of your life. A depressing state of consciousness, only forever growing civilization. A rotting life without fear of death, a hellish curse granted from above, with heavenly horns singing hymns of justice, and the nocturne of fading death. Another nameless accursed is forever present. Another nameless accursed is present forever. So that last line is almost the same, except they switched the last 2 words around, which actually confused me when I was reading it just then. But yeah, there's some pretty grim lines in there, and some lines that I wouldn't say so much don't make sense, but the wording is a bit confusing. But that might be, English isn't their first language, so maybe the phrasing of the sentence might not be entirely the way I would put it, but that doesn't really detract from the song. It was very, very good, very, very heavy, and not at all what I was expecting. And like I said, I wouldn't call it blackened death metal, because, I didn't really pick up any black metal sort of influences in there. But that being said, they did release a 7-track EP before this one. So, there might have been more black metal influences on there. There might be more black metal influences on the other 2 tracks from this EP, the Grand Design of the Apocalypse. There might be a bit more blackened death style on the rest of the EP or in their other tracks. But for this track itself, I wouldn't really say it was blackened death, but it was definitely brutal as fuck. It was really, really good. I actually want to go back and look at their other stuff. But there we go. I can't really think of anything else to say on that track, so I'm going to leave that as it is. If anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so by all means. You can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or even through my Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel and help me create future content, maybe even improve the quality of future content. There is an option within Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue, should you so desire. There are a couple of limitations that go on that, because, got to be fair to other people who suggest tracks through the regular means like Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube comments. Now, if you do suggest a track through regular means, such as Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube comments, do know it might take me a while to get around to your suggestion, since I get suggested so many tracks every single day that my list grows faster than I can record the videos. Although, that being said, some of you will know that recently my computer had a catastrophic failure, so I actually lost my old list. Now I'm trying to rebuild it from comments on my YouTube channel, but there are literally thousands of them to go through, and it's taking me a while to rebuild. But yeah, keep suggestions coming. I do write all of the suggestions I get down, so they will get done eventually. It just might take me a little while to get around to them, although maybe not as long as it would normally take at this present moment, since I have no list anymore. Also, Metalhead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose main goal is to put an end to hate crimes, mainly those involving people of the alternative culture, and that's something that I find very important, something I feel very strongly about, and something I feel needs a lot more recognition, because this is something that never, ever gets talked about, but it is a very real problem, and it's widely ignored, because every single day, all around the world, hundreds if not thousands of people are attacked violently, just purely for the fact that they listen to alternative music. And it is by the very nature of it, it's just the stupidest thing. You know, why would you attack someone because of their taste in music? It makes no sense, but it is a very real problem that is going on, and nothing's getting done about it. You know, and we're not just talking about, you know, the occasional shoulder rammers, you know, we're walking through town, you know, we're not talking about people driving past in cars and shouting insults at us. And, you know, whilst these things do happen, what we're talking about is more severe. You know, people getting violently, viciously attacked to the point where people are getting hospitalised. You know, people are getting bones broken. People are, you know, getting admitted with severe injuries from, like, invasive wounds, you know, where people are getting stabbed or shot or worse just because they listen to alternative music, and that is just insane. But it's happening, and we never hear anything about it. The last time we heard anything about this, even you know, the last time anything like this was remotely spoken about was about 12 to 13 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently attacked by a group of 5 or 6 people who beat them so severely, so brutally, that they both ended up in comas. You know, they had their heads stamped on whilst they were cowering in fear on the ground by a group of 5 or 6 people. You know, they were outnumbered like 3 to 1, you know, and they were just brutally punched, kicked, and, you know, had their head stamped on, and then, as a result, they both ended up in a coma. Now, Rob Maltby, he did survive. He came out of a coma after about a week or so. I can't remember exactly how long, but he survived. Sophie Lancaster, on the other hand, a 20-year-old lass, was beaten so severely that she died. This girl was essentially murdered just purely because she listened to alternative music. And like I said, this happened about 12, 13 years ago. And that was the last time there was any sort of widespread coverage of the fact that this is happening. That's the last time we really heard anything about it. But I can guarantee you, in the 12 to 13 years since that happened, hundreds, if not thousands of people from the alternative community have been attacked in a similar fashion. But we've not heard a single thing about it because no one's died. And that's unacceptable. It shouldn't take someone's death for something like this to be spoken about. You know, we shouldn't have to wait for someone to die before something gets done to prevent it from happening. You know, prevention after the fact is just pointless. You know, stopping it before it happens, that's the important part. You know, every day we hear about all of these other hate crimes like sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred, you know, ableism, what have you. We hear about these every single day in the media, from the most heinous and violent of crimes where someone is violently murdered because of the colour of their skin or their sexual identity or their religious background, down to the most pathetic and petty of these things like entitled Karen calling the police because a family of colour are having a picnic in a public park. You know, we hear every facet of these every single day, but we never hear anything about these people that are violently attacked just purely because of their taste in music. And something needs to be done. Something needs to change here, because, you know, people are getting severely hurt, and you know, it's only a matter of time before someone else gets killed just because of their taste in music, and we cannot allow that to happen. You know, and this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want to bring more attention to the fact that this is happening. You know, they want to bring more attention to the fact that this is getting widely ignored, and the people committing these crimes are essentially just getting away with it, which is really unacceptable. You know, something needs to change. You know, we can't allow this to carry on. We can't allow what happened to Sophie Lancaster to ever happen again. It should never have happened in the first place. So if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there is a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their main goal is, because they can explain it a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, obviously don't feel obligated to do so, but if you can help them out in any small way, you know, whether it's a small donation through their website or something like one of these Sophie wristbands from their web store, you know, the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we bring more attention to this, the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred, and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.